wish you had a little more energy, William. Good morning, Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. In the room and online, you are welcome here. It's good to be with you. Welcome, Mom, Sandy, and your mother. You look so beautiful. You are the heart. You are the hands. You are the voice of Spirit on earth. And who you are, and all you do is a blessing to the world, a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of Spirit on earth. And who you are, and all you do is a blessing to the world, a blessing to the world. So just let the music wash over you. You can sing along as we go. This beautiful sacred time of year, yes? You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of Spirit on earth. And who you are, and all you do is a blessing to the world, a blessing to the world. time. I love that. When I look in your eyes, I see the beloved looking back at me. When I stand next to you, I feel the beloved, amen. Feel the beloved in you. You are in my soul. You are my inspiration. With you in my heart, I'm never alone. We are one. There is no separation. When I rest in you, I'm home. When let me get my bearings here. Yeah. Here we go. When I touch your heart, I feel the beloved. I feel the beloved touching me. When I open my heart, I open to the beloved in you. You are in my soul. You are my inspiration. With you in my heart, I'm never alone. We are one. There is no separation. When I rest in you, I'm home. When I touch your heart, I feel the beloved. I feel the beloved touching me. When I open my heart, I open to the beloved in you. To the beloved in you. To the beloved. Singing. Thanks, everybody. You are my choir. Does that feel okay? You can be my choir? I'll be your music director. You be my choir. We'll get along just fine. All right, we got one more for you as our service begins. This is the music of Ricky Byers. Yes, yes, yes. And that culture had an amazing choir, didn't they? They still do, the Agape Spiritual Center in Culver City, Los Angeles. Beautiful choir. I gained so much inspiration, as many of us did, from their work. It's fabulous. All right, let's go, let's go. Come on now. Well, drummer, get in it, get in it. Okay, we'll try again. Remember, you already agreed to be in the choirs. Come on now. This is such a beautiful celebration song. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me know that love is all around. Let me know that love is all around. Oh, let me know love is all around. Let me know that love is all around. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in the holy, holy way. Let me live in the holy, holy way. Oh, let me learn from all the ways I've fallen. Let me learn from all the ways I've fallen. can heal us all. Oh, let me know that love can heal us all. Let me know that love can heal us all. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way. Let me serve in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way. Let me serve in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me share the good that's overflowing. Let me share the good that's overflowing. Come on, jump in now. And let me care for those around the world. Let me care for those around the world. And let me serve in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me love in a holy, holy way. You sound great. Oh, let me share the good that's overflowing. Let me share the good that's overflowing. Oh, let my steps reveal a path of peace. Let my steps reveal a path of peace. Oh, let me talk each day a little kinder. Let me talk each day a little kinder. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me live in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Put your hands together for yourself, for the band. Yes, 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 yes. Oh.
Lighting the flames of faith. We perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all people in all faiths, all sentient beings, come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. Fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here today. We light a candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light a candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light a candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light a candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light a candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light a candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light a candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light a candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light a candle for all forms of New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. We light a candle for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and the presence of Spirit in their lives, and for the space that we are holding for them at this center, and for all religions unnamed in this ceremony.
Good morning. Welcome. So glad we're all here today, celebrating this beautiful, beautiful day. My name is Ursula Lentini. My pronouns are she, her, and I proudly serve as a reverend here at Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. We are a center that educates and engages the seekers on their spiritual path. As a member of the global movement, Centers for Spiritual Living, our mission is to provide spiritual tools for personal and global transformation. You think you're here alone? No, you're here representing the whole world. Our purpose is to awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence, and our vision is a world that works for everyone. That's right. No matter where you are on your spiritual path, SLCA is where you belong. For more information about today's service and ways to connect during the week, please take a moment to scan the QR code found on either the back of the seat in front of you or on your monitor. We're grateful for your presence this morning. Welcome.
Yes, grateful we are. Will you join with me in song? You can stand if it feels comfortable to do so, and let's just open our hearts and be in celebration. I am grateful, grateful for this day, amen, for the love we share, the life we make, and I give thanks for all the many ways that the love of God appears. I am grateful, grateful for this day, for the love we share, the life we make, and I give thanks for all the many ways that the love of God appears. I am grateful, grateful for this day, for the love we share, the life we make, and I give thanks for all the many ways that the love of God appears. I know you want to look around the room. Yes, I'm grateful. Say, I'm grateful, grateful for this day, for the love we share, the life we make, and I give thanks for all the many ways that the love of God appears. Yes, the love of God is here. Yes, 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 yes. We are so grateful that you are here. Please be seated. Thank you.
Yes, we are grateful, grateful. Good morning, everyone. It's a great day to be in community. My name is David Alexander. I'm the spiritual director here. My pronouns are he and his, and I've got a little bit of static. I don't know if it's me or something else, but we'll figure it out. All right, so today we're starting a series. By the way, doesn't the center look great? Isn't this beautiful? Kwanzaa and Hanukkah and Christmas and all the holiday stuff. So we'll be weaving all of that into this series this month on community. We're looking at what community is, how do we build community, what stands in the way of community, all of those things. And we're gonna dive right in because we only got a few weeks before our holiday service, and so we're gonna pile it on today. Are you ready? Just buckle up because we're gonna go straight in. And so the affirmation today is this: Heaven and earth are within me now. With spiritual vision, I see a world that works for all. And with embodied action, I make the vision real. Let's take a breath. Heaven and earth are within me now.
Heaven and earth are within me now.
With spiritual vision, I see a world that works for all.
I see a world that works for all.
And with embodied action, I make the vision real. Let's do it one more time, all together. Heaven and earth are within me now. With spiritual vision, I see a world that works for all. And with embodied action, I make the vision real. And so do you, and so we are, and so it is. Give yourselves a hand for being here today. Let's have a great day together.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
Affirmation. This is our affirmation. So this is our opening prayer. Open your heart. Open your body, your mind, your crown chakra. To be receptive. Understanding that the essence of God is all there is. There's no other. There's no separation. Therefore, you are that. We are. In our community, in our communion, if we understand that we are, that's all we need to know. It's the we that does everything. When you and I come here together, right here, right now, and affirm, we know that we are God, we are the divine essence, manifested, individualized. And when we say, oh, let's make an agreement today. Let's have a vision of a world that works for everyone. It is so. We are the embodiment of that very light. All we need to do is set our intention. And we're doing that right here, right now. With a heart filled with gratitude that we have this opportunity to express these beautiful ideas. Together we can, together we do, together we are. Knowing this is so, together we say, and so it is. Thank you.
With every prayer, I breathe the heart of God. I breathe the love of God through me. With every prayer, I breathe the heart of God. I breathe the love of God through me. As I open and allow I know right here and now I create a world where wonders never cease. With every prayer I breathe the heart of God, I breathe the love of God through me. So it is.
Oh come, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Israel that mourns in lonely exile here, until the Son of God appear. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, O Israel. Oh, come, thy wisdom from on high, and order all things far and nigh. To us the path of knowledge show, and cause us in her ways to go. Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel, and ransom captive Oh, come, let us adore Him. Oh, come, let us adore Him. Oh, come, let us adore Christ the
Yolanda Williams. Fabulous.
All right, amazing. Giving Yolanda another hand. Just switch the handheld today. I'm told that there's some radio interference with the mic, so somebody's trying to listen in, or you know, you got to be careful when you pray that our message is broadcast to the world. There's some trucker driving down 85 going, "Why am I hearing a prayer right now?" Because you need it. Praise God. So I love that song, Emmanuel, and I love this season because of the liturgy and the essence that is in the lyrics, and in all honesty, still captive in a dominant male patriarchy language, right? He, him, Lord, all of that stuff. But Emmanuel translates as God with us, or God in us, or metaphysically, God as us. So God in us, come and ransom captive, or release, or liberate the collective, Israel, the community, us, right? Not the individual, not individual salvation, not liberate me, but liberate the community, our collective experience. That's what that song means. It's by far my favorite because of the depth of that meaning. And for the other songs that, again, have all the patriarchy, language in them, I remind myself this season what Richard Rohr, how many people know Richard Rohr, Catholic mystic? Yeah. Richard Rohr says, metaphor is the only language that religion has. Metaphor is the only language that religion has. So yes, it's a lot of patriarchy, but it's a metaphor. It's a metaphor for you and for me and for the God within us and all of those things. And so, as we talk about community today, and as I said, we're going to dive in and we're going to really get into the nitty gritty of what stands in the way of creating authentic community. I invite us to think about all of those things. Emmanuel, God within us, come and liberate the collective experience. Help us heal, so that we can see a world that works for everyone. I don't know about you, but I've been troubled and wondering about our collective sense of community lately. There's things on the news. We were at City Hall last week honoring the victims of the shooting in Colorado Springs, Club Q. The night before that, I was downtown with the Poor People's Campaign and William Barber, and surrounding all of that, the threats that have been at schools that have shut down basketball games and put schools, including at this high school that my children go to in Gwinnett County, on a soft lockdown as the police or helicopters looking for somebody. The 12 and 15-year-old young men shot and killed outside of Atlantic Station after being chased off the property by security. How about the 15-year-old boy in Savannah shot for canvassing for the election? Which, by the way, if you haven't voted, let me just, I know we don't do guilt in New Thought, but let me just put something on you for a second. A 15-year-old boy was shot. He wasn't killed, right? He's in the hospital recovering, but he was shot for knocking on somebody's door. Shot right through the door. The man didn't even open the door. So if you don't bother to stand in a line, I don't care how long it is on Tuesday. Okay, I'm just going to leave it right there. Amen. He can't even vote, but he was willing to put his time and his energy into canvassing for all of us. Gun violence in Colorado Springs and Virginia, homicide rates in Atlanta on the rise, as well as in places like Portland, Oregon, and every major metro area. One might ask, what are we doing here? And it's an important question to ask ourselves and to address in our time and context. But it's not a new question. We might ask, as I often do in the Christmas season or in the holiday season, where there's so much emphasis on the presence of the divine revealing itself as us and through us and to us and in symbols and signs and all of those things, right? We might ask ourselves, why don't we have more expression of the divine or the love of God in which we are created in the image and likeness as in our everyday experience? Why are we so prone to violence and judgment and division? And it's a question that is really not that complicated, because we have individually and collectively severed ourselves from our relationship with the divine
And it's kind of hard to be in right relationship with each other if we're not in right relationship with our Creator, with the divine, with the infinite energy of the universe, however you want to describe that, right? And we see this in the narratives, in the sacred texts, in the Torah, in the law, and all the way through in what Christians call the New Testament, but is really just their testament, because the Old Testament isn't old, it's just their testament. So there's their testament and their testament, right? I just want to make that clear, because sometimes we use language that has pejorative assumptions within it. I want to be careful about that. So, but we see it in the text. We see that the moment that Adam and Eve rebel, they conceal themselves. They hide themselves from the divine. And it's, again, metaphor for when we sever that relationship, we hide from our understanding of the divine. And when confronted by God about this, Adam, the first thing that he does is point. She did it, right? And then God woefully proclaims that because of their rebellion and his desire for them to be in a one-flesh relationship with him, that everything would be reduced down to basically a power struggle, right? And the story kind of goes downhill from there, right? I mean, Adam and Eve's first child, Cain, murders their second child, Abe, out of jealousy. Abel, as violence always does, it sets in motion a violent impulse to the point where God has to threaten vengeance upon anyone who kills Cain just to keep others from murdering him. He has to threaten violence in order to stem the tide of violence. Fast forward about 8 verses or so, we find Lamech, a descendant of Cain, boasting that his thirst for vengeance is 10 times greater than Cain's. Within the first few millennia, as far as we can guess, the world became so full of violence that this God that is being written and described says that it may have to destroy all of humankind and start over with Noah's family. We're only in the 6th chapter at this point of the first book, right? And yet, all of this drastic moves fall woefully short of ending any violence. The rest of the biblical narrative is filled with human history, prolonged testimonies about how broken our relationship with God or the divine is, and that violence-tending relationships with others continue to rise and surge. But if we continue the arc long enough in the stories, we come to a story of one who embodies the ancient, I want to be very careful how I say this, I want you to pick up on this. We come to a story of one who comes here to embody the ancient Christ consciousness. Not a special one, but one who comes to embody that which has always existed in collective consciousness, because it has been foretold throughout human history in many different ways. In fact, all of the symbols that we have about the man Jesus are actually borrowed from other places. At best, he is a composite of the mythological and mystical signs of Christ consciousness. In fact, not only the story about him is a composite of all the other ancient stories, but it may even be that the man himself is a composite manufacturing of all of the ancient stories. Shh, don't tell anybody I told you that. But it's neither here or there, because the end result is the same. We are to look at what is this energy called the Christ consciousness, and how do we embody it? How do we bring it into community? How do we bring it into our daily living? This week, December 8th, is Bodhi Day. Buddhist day, in which is celebrated in Japan, traditionally includes, it's to mark the day of enlightenment for the Buddha as he sat under the Bodhi tree, which is like they decorate today, they decorate ficus trees, a tree of awakening, and they decorate them with strings of lights and beads to represent the many paths to nirvana, right? And that it's a path that we're all on. So you haven't decorated your tree yet, then you can think about Bodhi Day this week as you put your lights out, right? I say that to say it's all really just the same stuff in different packaging. Religious traditions and histories and narratives and cultural traditions. But we come then today to this series on community to focus on today two critically important elements of manifesting the vision of creating a world that works for everyone. And we see them in all of these stories, in the Jesus story, in the Buddha story, and so many others. First is the personal awakening, the Buddha, the Christ within, the Christ consciousness, the awakening of the self. In 1927, Ernest Holmes first published The Science of Mind and Spirit, what today we call The Science of Mind, re-edited and published in the version we use today in 1938. But the first edition was published in 1927, and it was really, it's my summary of it, a guide to the embodied awakening of Christ consciousness within. That's really what it's about. It's about how do you understand what your consciousness is and how to cultivate the awareness of that consciousness such that you are in an embodied awareness of the God presence within you. And you're using it actively and directly to manifest good, not just in your life, but in the life of all those around you. Although it's definitely written from the individual perspective, right? Also in 1927, Dietrich Bonhoeffer was a young German theologian. He finished his doctoral dissertation. It wasn't published until 1930, but it was finished in 1927. He presented it at his school. It was called Sectorium Communio, which is Communion of Saints. It was a beautiful, other theological scholars have called it a miracle. He was 21 years old. And in it, he talks about the embodiment of Christ as community, that Christ must reveal itself as community, and that only Christ as community is the only, what he defined as credible presence of Christ in the world. He said, in fact, it was theological heresy to apply all of the theological knowledge that we have about what he would define as Jesus and the Christ, but what I would redefine as Christ consciousness. He said it would be a mistake to take all of that and simply apply it to the individual man or the individual person. Right? He said it's only relevant if it reveals itself as community, as a communion of saints, that Christ appears as we appear to and for each other, right? And so it put the theological world on its head when he said this. The credible presence of Christ in the world must be Christ as community. And so I want to explore both of these themes today as the journey into which we create authentic community. Recognizing that, first of all, we have the privilege to contemplate these things here today, don't we? Right? I mean, we just recognize that we have the privilege, the honor to come together and to celebrate and to connect and to do this, right? And so let's take seriously the opportunity that we have, because some people perhaps are in churches today not knowing that they are complicit in their own enslavement to the very place or condition that they think they're trying to avoid. I mean, we'll just leave that right there. But the credible presence of Christ in the world, what does that mean for us? Does it mean just our individual awakening, or does it mean something else in relationship to how we are with each other? Right, which I think it does. I think it has to do with, I want to give you this because we're going to go down a deep rabbit hole, and I don't want you to think, oh my God, please bring it back, please bring it back. The plane is going down. So I'll give you this real quick, and then we'll come back to it, right? Building community. First step is awakening to the power that we have within us, the power as co-creators, right? Cultivate a vision of the world that we want, right? You have an affirmation or a vision of this is what I want, success, relationship, happiness, this is what it looks like for me or for the world or whatever it might be. And then number 3, which is the one we skip over a lot, which is clean up what has gone before you, right? You ever have a vision of a new relationship, but you don't bother to clean up the old one, right? It tends to seep into the new one. The cleanup process is really, really important, right? And then finally, bring our gifts and our accountability to the vision. Our gifts and accountability to the table come together, especially not just individually, but as community. We come together here to bring our gifts to SLCA and our accountability, right? To what this thing can be. There's a beautiful book called Community, the Structure of Belonging by Peter Block, which I'll be referencing quite a bit today. And he says that community is not a problem to be, a series of problems to be solved. It's an opportunity to create. And it's created when we bring our gifts, in this magic combination of bringing our gifts and taking accountability and responsibility for what we're creating. And it's that intersection that I want to kind of dive in today. So are you ready? All right, well, let's look at what's standing in the way. There are a few roadblocks to standing into the way to creating authentic community, right? And creating a world that works for everyone. The number one roadblock is convenience, right? Now, this is going to get touchy because I'm going to touch on some things that you love. And I love too, right? I mean, I love things to be convenient. Don't we want things to be convenient? We want things to be convenient. Please make it convenient. I ain't got time for this trifling. I need it to be expedient and convenient. But convenience, it turns out, stands in the way of authentic community. Freeways are incredibly convenient, but they destroy communities, right? And they were actually structured that way. They were intentionally structured to destroy Black and brown communities, to divide them, to separate equity and wealth and everything else. But they're incredibly convenient, aren't they? We love them. We even want more of them because the ones that we have are too crowded. But where are they going to go? Right through somebody else's community. Right? So convenience, as it turns out, stands in the way of building greater community. The second roadblock is speed. Oh, we want things to be not only be convenient, we want it to be efficient. We want it to be fast. We want our food to be fast. We want our microwaves to be fast. We want our cell phones to be fast. We want everything to be fast. Faster, faster, faster. I ain't got time for this. Right? Hurry up, Rev. We've got somewhere to go. I want everything to be fast. Right? Speed also stands in the way of authentic community. The third one is technology. Ooh, now we're getting deep, right? Technology. We think that, well, if everybody has a laptop, if everybody has a cell phone, if everybody has this, when the pandemic hit, the school said, okay, we'll send Chromebooks home with all of the children. What did they discover? 55% of the children didn't have reliable internet at home. Technology is not always the answer. It stands in the way of building authentic community, right? We're more connected on our devices than we have ever been before into this thing called the internet, but we're also more isolated and alone and depressed than we've ever been, especially the younger generations, right? Why? They're on it all the time, but it's not building or providing authentic community or connection, right? It's chasing likes and status and using filters and trying to figure out the algorithm and, we're all trying to get our side hustle going and all of that other stuff. And it's destroying the social fabric of authentic community. Now, I say this all to say that I love technology. I love speed and efficiency, and I love convenience, right? I just installed a new video doorbell in my house the other day because the one that was there from 1980 broke, and I didn't want to try to figure out how to fix that old ancient crudgy thing. I didn't know what. I took it out of the wall, and I just went, I don't know what to do with this. There's wires and things and such and what. And I got to call some expert and pay something. I could just buy a new fancy thing and hook it up to my Wi-Fi and boom, I'm done. Convenience, speed, technology. So I'm not trying to diss those things, but what happens is when we're talking about community, these three things feed a community-killing monster called the individual, which is after me, and mine. Me and mine above anybody else. And that brings us to a really touchy one. Now, this one just brought me to my knees when I discovered it when I was reading Peter Block's book, Community, the Structure of Belonging. This last one is really interesting. These three things, convenience, speed, and technology, feed into the fourth roadblock to building authentic community. Individual transformation. Woo! I had to take a seat when I read that right there. I was sitting and reading. I had to get up and walk around just for a minute and air it out. I said, what do you mean individual transformation is a roadblock to community? Is that what we're doing here? Aren't we creating individual transformation? I mean, my whole life I've been preaching My whole life I've been in this teaching thinking, oh, this is a teaching about the individual awakening, the individual transformation. And we've always been told if we transform enough individuals, then we'll hit the collective. And it's all based on this theory, the 12th monkey or the whatever thing. You've heard it, that if you teach 9 monkeys to how to wash a potato, the 10th monkey will figure it out. Have you heard this? 100th monkey theory, whatever. I don't care how many monkeys it is. It's just... But there's one, all of a sudden, it'll just magically. But if you look it up, the theory is bogus. And it's based on a complete lie. And we use it over and over and over again in spiritual communities. We say, if we just come in here and if you all just work on yourselves enough, and then enough other people come here and work on themselves enough, then there will be enough people working on themselves that all that stuff out there, the shooting and the violence and the homicide and the poverty and the inequity and all the other, it'll just magically transform one day, poof, because enough people have worked on themselves. And Peter Block says, the research has shown that transformation of large numbers of individuals does not result in the transformation of the community. If we continue, he says, to invest in the individual as the primary target of change, we will never fully invest in communities. And in this way, individual transformation comes at the cost of community health and well-being. Whew! That took me for a journey right there. I went, wow, what do we do with this? What does that mean? It means that these 3 things, convenience, speed, and technology, feed this individual monster, this monster called the individual quest for my status, for my success, for my well-being, for my separation from the chaos of the world. And now I've got it good enough that I don't have to worry. I've got my bank account secure. I've got my this secure. I've got my side hustle working. I've got all my stuff figured out. And I'm on that constant drive to figure that out. And I want convenience, speed, and technology to help me. And it's me, mine, me, mine, me, mine. And it turns out that community infrastructures are not the answer either. Right? Because community structures that are filled with self-serving individuals on a quest for personal dominance only create a chaotic form that breeds systemic and institutionalized violence and oppression. Woo! HOAs. Right? Let me say that again. Community infrastructure is not the answer either. What I mean, infrastructure, more freeways, parks, better schools, all of those things, all of which are good things, right? We say we want to invest in community infrastructure. Those are good things. But if the infrastructures are filled with self-serving individuals on a quest for their own personal dominance, the me-mine quest, then they only create a chaotic form that breeds systemic, institutionalized violence and oppression. I've got an example for you. Maybe you've heard of it. It's called Twitter. Oh, we're going to go there today. Unfiltered Twitter. We've had unfiltered Twitter for a while. I'm not going to name names, but you know why. We've had unfiltered Twitter. And here are the results. Here are the results. We took the rails off community standards and regulation and decency and everything else, and here's what's happened. In just a few weeks, anti-Semitic posts are up 61%. Anti-gay posts are up 58%. Anti-black posts are up 202%. Infrastructure is not the answer because if filled with individuals on a quest for their own self-aggrandizement, only create more systemic abuse, oppression, and violence. But here's the thing. Remember that part I said about cleaning up? We've got to clean up what has gone before. We've got to awaken to our individual power, but then and have a vision for a world that works for everyone. We do those 2 things pretty well here at Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. But then we have to take responsibility to clean up what has gone before. And that's the part we don't like to do too much. It's the part we like to avoid. But here's the deal. Poverty is violence. Poverty is violence. Endless war is violence. Homelessness is violence. Racial profiling is violence. Mass incarceration is violence. Denying health care is violence. Unaffordable housing is violence. I'm not talking to anybody. Destroying our environment is violence. When we acknowledge that these unnecessary and avoidable causes of suffering are actually forms of structural violence, then we understand the dominant culture in our collective, the United States, for what it is. One that glorifies, legitimizes, and perpetuates violence for profit. That is the end result of individual quest that convenience, speed, and technology feed into. Because as long as somebody is getting more rich and somebody is producing more, and somebody's got a contract to build the freeways and to do the schools, and what, then all of these things, the dross of what it leaves out, it leaves piles of poverty and inequity and health care and all of that other stuff, then that's just the cost of doing business. And it is actually destroying the fabric of community. And then we wonder, well, where were the parents of that 12-year-old and 15-year-old? Well, they might have been working. I don't know. Aware that we try to find individual answers to systemic symptoms. Am I making any sense here? Let me read you something. America is at a crossroads of history. And it's critically important for us as a nation and as a society to choose a new path and move upon it with resolution and courage. It's impossible to underestimate the crisis that we face in America. The stability of a civilization, the potential of a free government, and the simple honor of its citizens are at stake. Those who serve in the human rights movement, including the organization that this person's speaking from, are keenly aware of the increasing bitterness and despair, the fruits that manifest themselves of threatening and worse chaos, hatred, and violence that any nation has ever faced. In a sense, we are already at war within and among ourselves. Affluent Americans locked up in suburbs of physical comfort and mental insecurity. Poor Americans locked inside ghettos of mental privation and spiritual debilitation. And all of us can feel the presence of a kind of social insanity which could lead to national ruin. Seems relevant today, yes? December 4th, 1967. Spoken right here in Atlanta. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. launched the Poor People's Campaign. He was assassinated 6 months later. But it was his last big piece of the puzzle of building the beloved community. The speech was here in Atlanta at the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. And he knew and understood the most vital step in manifesting a vision of a world that works for everyone is to come to terms radically and honestly with what we have become, with what we have created. And that having that kind of radical honesty would create the level playing field for a new beginning. That you can't create a new reality on top of a broken foundation. People didn't want to look at it. He was already unpopular in 1967, and this made him widely unpopular, even those who had stood beside him for so long, because now he was talking about something that even those who helped him march and fight for civil rights continued to protect and preserve. He was touching the very systems of our society that they were still willing to protect and preserve and defend. And they would say, oh, now you've gone too far. Now you've gone too far. And so the question becomes, what are we going to be when we gather? Robert Putnam, a sociologist in 1996, wrote a book called Bowling Alone. It's a great book. It's a thick book. If you like statistics and small print, I highly recommend it. If you don't, I would avoid it at all costs. Maybe read an online summary of some kind. I had to read it in college, but it's an excellent book, and it talks about Robert Putnam, sociologist. He says, what is it that his primary question is, what is it that is the key ingredient to healthy and successful communities? And he says, it turns out it isn't community infrastructure. It isn't programs and systems. It isn't even the right politicians in office, though that helps. Programs help, and visions help, and city funding helps. But he says, beyond all of that, there's a single factor, one single factor that is the contributing ingredient to determine whether a society can build a healthy community or not. And it's what he called social capital. Social capital. The act of acting on and valuing our interdependence and a sense of belonging. That alone was the determining thing in all of the research. And so it's called bowling alone because, as you might imagine, he measured through decades our social capital. And he said, we used to go out on Tuesday night to bowling leagues, and we met with people who didn't vote like us and maybe went to a different church, and we bowled together, and we bridge, card games in people's basements and all the different things, right? We did all of those things, and we built social capital. But as the quest for the individual success and the individual continues to rise, and the me, mine, and the convenience and the speed and the technology rises, it erodes that sense of social capital. This is the number one factor in creating healthy communities, is acting and valuing on our interdependence and sense of belonging. It's measured by how we treat each other and how much we cooperate to help make a better place. Ultimately, community, he says, is not a set of problems to be solved. Again, it's an opportunity for co-creation. It's a place to bring our gifts, our trust, and our contribution of what is possible when we come together. And so what will that social capital be, that interdependence that says you belong and I belong and we all belong together, whether we think the same way, vote the same way, act the same way, pray the same way, dress the same way or not, that we all belong and we're there for each other, not just to build up ourselves or to have our own personal individual transformation, but to help create a world that works for everyone. I don't know about you, but I strongly believe that what we create here at SLCA has the potential to impact the world. Not because we can be a big enough place where enough individual transformation can take place and suddenly all the problems disappear. But I'll be honest with you, I used to think that. Right? I used to think, all we need is just enough people to take foundations and affirmative prayer and meditation, and then poof, like the 100th monkey, it'll all just be solved. I don't believe that anymore. And I haven't for quite some time, but I've had a hard time letting it go because it's a myth that lives in our teaching so deeply, right? For a long time, I've been working on this other piece of the puzzle, which is about community engagement and getting out there and serving. And not just community service for the sake of community service, but for building social capital. A lot of people said, well, it was great that we acted and went to Jackson, but what did we do that for? And it wasn't just to help the people, because certainly we did not provide enough water to make a dent in the issue. And by the way, the pipes are broken and things are still happening there, and they still need our help. And we were there when truckloads from other churches were coming from Atlanta, churches much bigger than us, that were sending diesel trucks full of water. So it wasn't that we provided so much resource to the immediate problem. It was that we put boots on the ground and built social capital relationships with real people who were doing the work, such that when the Poor People's Campaign came here, which, by the way, William Barber has taken up the mantle of Dr. King's Poor People Campaign, and was here last Monday in a rally with faith leaders to help get out the vote for Tuesday's election, when the representatives who we worked for in Jackson, which were also the regional representatives for Georgia, were in the room and saw us, they said, there's real people who are doing the work. And they put us in touch with local leaders here, and they said, you need to work with these folks from SLCA. That's the reason we went, right? So that when we build social capital, our name goes before us. I had people walking up to me saying, I need to talk to you. Right? People from New York and people from all over different places. I've heard about you. I need to come on Sunday. And it's not about filling the coffers or bringing more people here, but it's about being real about our vision, that we create that social capital such that we are engaged in the interdependent care of each other. They did a news story of these young men after the violence at Atlantic Station, or as Atlantic Station would like us to think, just outside of Atlantic Station, because they removed them from their property, right? It's like, well, why didn't you hold them and call their parents. But anyway, that would have been a more community-oriented thing. But since you set them past your community boundary, you absolved yourself and washed your hands of it, whether or not on our property. We have whole cities that want to act that way. Well, if we just draw a line here and call it a different city, the crime will disappear. I don't know what kind of hocus pocus that is, but that's going to require a lot more than 100 monkeys. But anyway. When we build that social capital, they did a news story. This is what I was saying. They did a news story with young teens in Atlanta, young gang members. They had all their faces blurred, and they said, "What's going on here? Why the rise in violence? Why the rise in all?" They said, "Number one, access to guns." They said it's just easy. And actually said that was the number two thing they said. Number one thing they said was, in terms of the violence, they said we're numb to it. It doesn't mean anything to us. We're so desensitized to it. Just doesn't affect the way it does you watching the news. It's just part of our world. Number two is access to guns. Number three, nobody seems to really care about us. Those are the top three things they said from their mouths. Right? What is that? Social capital. It's a sense of belonging that's not there. It's a pervasive sense of interdependence, evidenced by the fact that they were moved off the property. Atlantic Station said, "Well, it's not my problem anymore." It is your problem. It's all of our problem because they're our kids, right? And so I believe that what we're doing here, and we're going to continue this series, and community is not a set of things to solve, it's something to co-create, that we have an opportunity to create something that's not just, although it must have at its foundation, a thriving, sustainable thing. I make that very clear, right? You've been to the annual report, you got the email, you got the follow-up email, other things. We're short about $4,000 a month. That's just to break even with the discounted rent that we're getting. So we've got things in the physical world that we got to take care of, right? And it's going to require all of us to do that. But that's not just for the sake of it. It's so that this thing lives and sends people out, not just to Jackson and to South Atlanta and to DeKalb and to Gwinnett County and to wherever each of us goes in our daily lives, and we become living embodied representations of building social capital and interdependence and care for our communities right where we are. And people say, what are you doing? Where are you from? Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta. Doesn't really care about having a bigger building or more seats in the room or anything like that, but cares about living the embodied work and bringing the table together where everybody who wants to build a world that works for everyone can sit and have a seat at the table and be engaged in the conversation and say, how do we do this together? Yes? Let me see if I can land the plane here. Ernest Holmes, in his final address in 1959 at a Selamar, delivered a sermon called what we call Sermon by the Sea. It's in the chapel there with the view of the ocean behind him. It's a beautiful place. And there's one in which a lot of people quote in our movement. Is one you probably heard. It's one where he said, "Show me. It would be great if a group of people would come to this earth who could stand for something and against nothing." And he goes on very eloquently, as he would do, about show me one person who is so dissolved of their personal ego that they are in love with the divine, and all these poetic, wonderful statements. One person, one person, one person. And then at the end, he switches it to community. A lot of people focus on that, show me one person, but I want to focus on the community part. And it's really the blend of the both, right? It's one person, it's you who wakes up to your power and your potential, and then it's what we do together as community. At the end, he says this, there is a power. What I'm saying is this, he says, there is a power transcendent beyond all of our needs and our little wants. There is a power transcendent beyond all of our needs and our little wants. Demonstrating a dime is good if one needs it, or healing oneself of pain is certainly good if one has it, but beyond that, at the real feast, at the tabernacle of the Almighty, in the temple of the living God, in the banquet hall of heaven, there is something beyond anything that you and I have ever touched. Find me 1,000 people who know that and use it, and the world will no longer be famished. And the world will no longer be famished. Why? Because we will be building that social capital. We will be pervasively caring for and with and as. We will be, as Dietrich Bonhoeffer said, Christ as community, revealing the Christ to each other. Find me 1,000 people who know that and use it, and the world will no longer be famished. Take a breath. And so we come back to our affirmation today. That heaven and earth are within me now, that within me is not only the consciousness of a divine Christ being that is awakening, and we invite ourselves to use all of the symbols of the season, of all of the traditions, from Kwanzaa to Hanukkah to Christmas to Bodhi Day to Diwali, which has already passed, but anything that reveals itself in a way that speaks to our hearts, and we see them all as diverse variations of the one thing, the universal Christ seeking to awake itself on the planet. Engross yourself in the music of your own tradition or background that either speaks to you from your childhood or the now, whatever is awakening within you, so that you have that consciousness of heaven, of a world that works for everyone. The affirmation says, heaven and earth are within me now. I am made of the stardust and the dust of the earth. I am made of bone and sinew and blood and organs and tissue and fiber and being, carbon that returns to the earth. So I'm not just here to float into a wafty, wonderful consciousness that all is well because all is God. I am here to embody it, to ingest it, to live it, to breathe it, and to express it in, through, and as me. That's what that first line says. Heaven and earth are within me now. And so it is with spiritual vision that I see a world that works for everyone, and it is with embodied action that I make it real, that I move myself in the physical dimension such that it becomes revealed in, through, and as me. Take a breath. Heaven and earth are within me now. With spiritual vision, I see a world that works for all, and with embodied action, I make the vision real. Let's say that together. Heaven and earth are within me now. With spiritual vision, I see a world that works for all. And with embodied action, I make the vision real. And so it is. So we let it be. Peace and blessings.
There's a sweet, sweet spirit in this place, and I know that it's the spirit of the Lord. There are sweet expressions on each face, and I know that it's the presence of the Lord. Sweet Holy Spirit, sweet heavenly dove, filling us with your love. And for these blessings, we lift our hearts in praise. Without a doubt, we know that we have been revived whenever we leave this place. Sweet Holy Spirit, sweet heavenly dove, stay right here with us, filling us with your love. And for these moments, we will lift our hearts in praise. Without a doubt, we know that we have been revived whenever we leave this place. Sweet Holy Spirit, sweet heavenly dove, stay right here beside us, filling us with your love. And for these moments, we will lift our hearts in praise. Without a doubt, we'll know that we have been revived when we shall leave this place. This place. Sweet heavenly dove, stay right here beside us, filling me with your love. And with these moments, we will lift our hearts in praise. Without a doubt, we know that we have been revived whenever we leave this place.
Yolanda Williams. Yes. Thank you, Yolanda. Thanks, everyone. That was beautiful.
Wow, we have to clap again. Come on. That is creative expression, right? That's just a song, but the way she sang it, wow. That was spirit. Moved me. How about you? Yes. And then Reverend David's talk? Yep. That moved me as well. You? Yeah. I really respect Reverend David because he is a man of action. Clear message and action. That's inspiration. He causes me to move and be a better me. Amen. So any new first-time members, any first-time visitors here today? All right. Thank you. We have a gift for you. The ushers are bringing it, and if you could please meet somebody in the lobby for fellowship. Thank you. Well, thank you for choosing Spiritual Living Center of Atlanta as a part of your celebration today. It's just a regular day, but we're celebrating it because we made a conscious choice to show up, to come here and be inspired and moved and touched. So as we enter a time of gratitude giving, we want to thank each of you for faithfully giving to SLCA. It's because of your contributions that we can continue spreading this message of oneness. If you were inspired by this message today, which we can all affirm we were, consider becoming a reoccurring pledger and give what's in your heart today. When we tithe, when we give where we're spiritually fed, it's a spiritual law and it comes back to us and we're fed regularly. I put it in the bank, it's done, I'm on the list, and it rotates and gives every month. And I know I'm taken care of because it's an insurance policy. It's a contribution. I'm feeding this and this feeds me. So if you can put that, if you're not doing it regularly, please do it regularly because there's a settledness to say, yes, I belong to this message. I belong to this community and this community belongs to me. So please set yourself up for success in this manner. And we're short. Have you ever been short on your bills? It's not fun. It's stressful. It's hard to be creative and fun and spontaneous when you're worried. So if we have all a little extra more to give to stabilize ourselves as a community, we can see what this does and feeds everybody else. So if you may also conveniently text your gift to 404-800-9467. You may use a credit card on the website or a digital program with the QR code displayed on the screen. If you wish to give by cash or check, we'll take it by airplane, train, boat, just bring it in. Our ushers will come through the aisles and shortly to receive your contributions. As you hold your pledge card or gift to your heart, please join me in saying the grateful giving affirmation. I live in a universe of abundance. As I freely and joyfully give, I join in the divine flow, and all that I share with life returns to me multiplied abundantly, and so it is. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Connect, grow, serve, and give, living life where you belong. Connect, grow, serve, and give, loving everyone. Let's do that again. Connect, grow, serve, and give, living life where you belong. Yes, you do. Connect, grow, serve, and give, loving everyone. You belong. You belong. You belong.
Social capitalists. We are. And I just want to remind you that you and I are in the word community. There's a you and an I. My name's Mally Lapete. My pronouns are she and her, and I gladly serve on the creative arts team here at SLCA. I love all you guys. We have so many great opportunities to connect, grow, serve, and give at our center. So for more information about today's announcements as well as other opportunities, take a moment to scan the QR code found either on the back of the seat in front of you or the one displayed on your monitor. You may also visit our information wall in the lobby after service. We'd love to thank our loyal pledgers and each of you that faithfully give to SLCA. SLCA is excited to present Reverend Dr. Raymond Anderson on Wednesday, December 14th, as he discusses science of mind principles and their relevance to our lives today. The science of mind and spirit is a philosophy. It's a faith, a way of life. This is an opportunity to take a fresh look at these life-affirming principles that can bring about positive changes in the health, mental, and spiritual well-being. Register for this Zoom meeting today. Maddie's Table needs your help. On December 18th, as we celebrate this holiday season with fellowship and music, bring your favorite dish to share with this multicultural potluck that will take place immediately following an incredibly special service. Let us know after service today what you plan to bring. How can you serve at SLCA? I'm sure you've all been asking that, and doing it too. Thank you. We are currently looking for Sunday greeters to welcome our community, those wishing to assist with weekly cleaning of the center and Maddie's Table. If any of these are of interest to you and you're looking for service opportunities, contact us after service or during the week. Although we still don't have an in-person service, no, let me start over. There's no service December 25th. We won't be here. Although we will not have an in-person service on December 25th, there's still hope. Please join our online service beginning at 10:30. Okay. Phew, I got that out. Yeah. And then join us again on New Year's Eve for meditation and breakfast beginning at 7 a.m. Eastern. Please sign up on Breeze today so we can prepare accordingly. That's Saturday morning. Will our practitioners please make yourself known both in person and in the online chat at this time and be recognized? Hi. Hello, lovely people. Thank you. We welcome each of you in need of prayer to remain in the room or reach out to the practitioners after service online or in the online prayer with a licensed practitioner. In-person practitioners will be sitting in chairs on both sides of the sanctuary after the service. Thank you for joining us this morning. You belong. Penelope?
Yeah, you do. Let's sing together, shall we? You can stand and we'll make our way to the hospitality table after we sing. We envision a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. We see all people, all beings as expressions of God. We see a world that works for everyone. We envision a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. We see all people, all beings as expressions of God. We see a world that works for everyone. We envision a world that works for everyone and for all of creation. We see all people, all beings as expressions of God. We see a world that works for everyone. We see a world that works for everyone. We see a world that works for everyone. Everyone, 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 everyone. Yeah. Get your jam on. All right. Enjoy your afternoon and thanks for being with us this morning.